Hello, listeners, and welcome back to Vortex. So, I was having a conversation with a friend the other day, and we were talking about how incredible it is the amount that humans are able to learn and all that we've been able to innovate with our time on this earth. Whether we think about things that go way back and seem simple, like communication, talking, writing, still very complicated, but incredible. And then we think about really complicated things like in the past 10 to 20 years that we've been innovating in terms of technology and understanding the way that those things work, and even doing things like chemical engineering and stuff. Like, we can't even see that and we're still innovating in that field. That's crazy to me. But through all our understanding, something that we don't understand very well is the thing that does the understanding itself, aka our brains. So for this episode, we're gonna dive into how modern science can actually help us understand this incredible processing machine that is our brains, using another processing machine that we created, aka AI. So, without further ado, let's step into the vortex. In our brain, we have neurons, and neurons that fire together, wire together. So if we have a certain stimulus, whether we're looking at something or hearing something or even feeling an emotion, one neuron will fire, and then the neuron that's connected and associated with that stimulus will also fire. And then you have this cluster of neurons that fire with the same stimulus. And our brain is made up of billions of neurons, and neurons can even have multiple connections. So our brain is just this giant web of connections that somehow works just right to give us the right response when we need it. So as scientists have been trying to figure out more and more about the connections in our brain and how this influences our behavior and our perception and our experience in this world, they have realized that neurons in our brain are actually even more complicated than we ever could have imagined. And this is because, just like humans, our neurons and their connections don't always act in a linear way, and they aren't always super predictable by the same model. We are not all exactly the same, so are our neurons. Our neurons are also not the same. So any kind of computational mechanisms tend to be a little bit less accurate because they are not able to encapsulate the full biological vastness of what a neuron can do. That said, artificial intelligence has been growing and getting smarter and faster, and as innovation continues to grow, it has been used and technology has been created to allow us to create accurate models of the brain that can help us understand the thing that does the understanding, finally. So, although I hear a lot of backlash on AI, and that's honestly valid, I was in that boat too, thinking that AI is going to take over the world and it's getting too smart too fast. I understand that. But after this episode, you might see the benefits of AI. Anyways. So the way that these models work is they're almost trained like a human's trained. So they are given a set of preconditions, aka the equivalent of genetics, and then they're brought through simulations, aka experiences, and these simulations cause the AI to develop in the way that a human brain would develop. So, based off of some technology created, I believe it was Stanford, they kind of framed it as these AI creations are like human brains, human baby brains. That's how they're being trained. And after they're given these simulations and they're able to develop in the same way that humans are able to develop, all of a sudden we have a super accurate model of a real human brain on this AI, and this AI will map it for you. And this is a huge step in innovation, because not only is it an accurate model, meaning it is able to get the full range of biological things that could happen to a neuron and different case scenarios and things, but it's going to allow us to understand our brains way better. And when we think about how this technology can be used, and trust me, I understand your fear, and even hearing this, okay, now we have an AI that's actually a human, that's freaky, but I think that this innovation can actually be used for the better. And see, the battle that I have with AI is, and I bet a lot of us have, is it's kind of inevitable at this point, you know? Like, might as well not fight it and try to use it for as best as we can. And in this case, it potentially can allow us to understand the thing that we have been trying to understand and have been failing since we got on this earth, is one thing. Also, it can lead to huge innovations in medical fields and beyond. So we think about things like neurodegenerative diseases, and looking at these models, which are pretty much replicas of our brains, we can see how these neural mechanisms are related to neurodegenerative diseases, and potentially we can run simulations to change outcomes, and we can mirror this in our real life. And even thinking about things like brain injury and even things like mental health, like we can understand these things better and we can test potential solutions to these things in these models that are not human. And if they work well, we can mirror them into real life. So although I know people have a lot of like preconceptions about AI, in this case, I invite you to actually like look into this data and kind of see the benefit of it, whether that's like in the medical field or even thinking on a broader scale than that. Understanding the way that the brain works can offer us, we can't even explain, we can't even see what it's going to offer us, but I imagine that we are going to be able to gain a perspective that no human has touched before if we're able to understand the way that our processing works. And so I invite you to stay updated on this, because as this field picks up, it is still relatively new, and innovation across institutions and labs and stuff is still kind of in the testing phases. But as innovation gets better, AI gets better, and we're able to understand our brains better, we could potentially unlock a new kind of living and a new kind of intelligence that we had never understood before. So that is all I have for you today, but stay tuned, and I hope to see you next time here at Cortex Vortex.